Transposing instruments are frustrating and confusing, and their very existence seems kind of absurd. A few years ago, I made a video about how to deal with transposing instruments, what to do when we see them. But today we're here to talk about why we have transposing instruments in the first place. As with so many things in Western music theory, a lot of it comes down to an 18th century tradition. Instruments back then weren't capable of playing as many notes as they are today. Take the clarinets. They have pads that keep air from getting out of the instrument, allowing players to play a full chromatic scale with a good tone. Some early clarinets had felt pads, which allowed some air to escape, which made the tone suffer. So if you're playing a C clarinet, the keys of C, F, and G would be pretty well in tune, but it would get progressively worse the further away you got. The solution was to have a clarinet in A, in B-flat, and in C. Then the early brass instruments didn't have valves. They were just long tubes of metal that flared out at the end. The second thing you need to know is that natural brass instruments can only play the harmonic series. So if your horn is in F, the only notes you can play are in the F harmonic series. To fix that problem, interchangeable pipes of different lengths called crooks were used to alter the fundamental pitch. The longer the tube, the lower the fundamental. Players would have to use multiple crooks in a piece that used multiple tonal centers. They were difficult and time-consuming to change out, and players always worried about them staying in. So, much like robbers, these crooks were unreliable and not ideal. Clarinets aren't the only woodwind instrument that have many different members in their family. Family members differ in size, and that changes the pitch. If you play a scale on a smaller instrument and then use the same fingering to play a scale on a larger instrument, it'll result in two different scales. In other words, if you have a C clarinet and you play a C major scale, and then you switch over to a B-flat clarinet and try to play the same C major scale, the resulting sound is a B-flat major scale. As you can imagine, this creates an entire world of problems. To fix this problem, among some others, we ended up with transposing instruments. It allows players to switch between instruments of the same family without having to learn new fingerings. So what is written in the parts for those players is the key that their fingers are in, not the key that is sounding. So our clarinet players can switch between A, B-flat, and C clarinets, and even bass clarinets, without having to learn new fingerings. Traditionally, the conductor's score, being the score that has all of the parts at once, has the same part score for transposing instruments that the players have, meaning that the conductor would have to transpose. But sometimes you'll find a conductor score in C, meaning all of the instruments are in concert pitch, such as Prokofiev's first piano concerto. But that makes sense because Prokofiev himself hated transposing instruments. Now, as to why B-flat clarinets, B-flat trumpets, and F horns became standard. This has to do with timbre and range. Those particular instruments fit best in the ensembles they played with. Composers of the time considered their timbre to be preferable. And they also have a range that can play most, if not all, the notes that are required of them. So those are some of the reasons we have transposing instruments. They may not be good reasons, they may not be reason enough to keep transposing instruments, but those are some of the reasons we have them. Thanks for watching this episode of 2-Minute Music Theory. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. Also be sure to check out my other channel, Jesse Strickland Music, which is home to all of my compositions. And if you're the kind of person who uses social media, be sure to connect with me over there.